Welcome back to the shop, everyone. This week's video takes place in 2024, week 29, July 15th to July 21st. And we are just starting this out by doing some more tuning and driving. You've seen me do this a bunch, so I don't think I really need to explain it all that much. So for this next tune, I just needed to adjust the throttle body, so I opened the throttle blade a bit more, then go into the car, do a TPS auto set. Pretty common stuff. yeah, so at this point I'm just under the car. I don't even remember what I'm looking at this point, but looking at something under the front and the back. Maybe looking at height or fuel system, not sure, but I'm looking at something under there. So now, since I've been driving the car for a bit, I want to check the brake fluid, make sure I still got fluid in there, make sure nothing's leaking out. That's probably what I was looking at. I was probably looking at all the brake lines or something like that, just to make sure I'm not leaking anything. So those the brake reservoir lids were on there pretty tight, so I had to grab a tool to help get those off of there. But after I looked, there was everything looked good in there, looked nice and filled up. It wasn't leaking any, so really happy with that. And back out for another drive. So at this point I had to go to the metal supermarket just to get some metal. So what the hell, take the car out for a drive. You know, there's nothing better than having an excuse to take the car out.
Let's go.
So I've been out driving for a while, so just pulling a plug out just to check it, make sure it still looks okay. You know, it's ideally best to go for a drive or you know, check the spark plug immediately after a run, because this has idle time and, you know, idle fueling on it. But whatever, I'm just checking it just in case.
Let's go.
So we got a real quick visit from carburetor here. That's my boy. Turn up. Let's go. So I know this is probably super duper boring watching me just go out, do the same little circuit, do the same thing over and over again, but that is part of building and tuning a car. Is you got to go out and get data, and you know, I'm working with a remote tuner, so there's no point in like doing a little pull, pulling a data log, and like staying out in the road, because you know he may not get back to me for another half hour. So that's just part of it, and that's why I'm showing it, because you know that was kind of the intention with this car, is show the entire process of building a car. It's more than, you know, what you see in most places. It's a lot of work, and a guy there just cut me off, and you know I had to hammer on the brakes, but that's all right. And this time we're actually going for a bit more of a drive. We're gonna go up to I think Canadian Tire. I need to get some stuff from there, so we're going for the longest drive in the car yet, and it's longest drive and a new route. So yeah, so I found out here, I parked beside this car on the left. Having a cage in this parking lot, it really sucked, because I got to crawl out over the bar and make sure the door doesn't hit the car next to me, and it's pretty tight. So a roll cage in a street car, it's kind of not the greatest thing in the world. And now we get to go to my car's favorite place, gas station, because, well, we need some fuel. So on this turn here, I heard some rubbing from the rear of my car, which is very unusual. The front's rubbed, but then the rear's never rubbed at all. So we're just gonna, quickly go in the shop, get the car in there after we do a little bit of cleanup. And I'm gonna go under the car and take a look at the back and just see if I can figure out, what's rubbing, why it's rubbing, etc., etc. And so get the car in the shop, and yeah, this is an oh fuck moment. So the tire has been rubbing on the fuel line. That braided hose is all frayed. Luckily, the tire actually took the worst of it because it is a steel braided line. But yeah, so what happened is I never jam nutted one of the upper control arms in the rear. So as I'm driving, the control arm starts backing off and getting longer because it's an adjustable control arm. So it's getting longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. So that rear right wheel had actually adjusted it or moved so far towards the rear of the car that the whole rear end was kind of angled to the right, and that was causing that tire to actually rub on the fuel line that was running right in that corner there. Now I ran that fuel line right there and I didn't think much of it because I'm like, oh well, there's no reason why that tire should ever come into contact with it. Well, my own stupidity, I never tightened those jam nuts, and it did. So this could have been really bad, because if I lose that upper control arm while I'm going down the highway, that whole rear end is going to twist and jam, and that the whole rear end is going to lock up and do a whole bunch of bad things potentially. And if I'm going down the highway at 90 kilometers an hour, I potentially crash. And hopefully I just take myself out. I don't take anyone else out with me. If I just take myself out and destroy my car, I can live with that. But if I end up hitting somebody else because I fucked up, that's not something I want to be doing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go under the car. I'm gonna quickly do just a backyard adjustment just to get it at least somewhat back to where it should be. Yeah, as I'm adjusting this, just look how much that rear end actually moves. It's quite a bit. So while I'm under here, I'm just checking the fill level in the diff, because both the upper and lower fill plugs are kind of moist. Like, there's not a drip coming off it, but fluid has been seeping out and onto the diff, so I'm just checking the fluid. And I noticed all of this crap on the end of the plug. It's a magnetic end, so in theory it's going to catch any crap in the rear end. I'm like, oh fuck, is my rear end eating itself apart because, you know, there's all this junk on it. You know, there isn't all like, there's some junk on it. You know, is that just the gears breaking themselves in? Quite possible. It is a brand new gear set, brand new diff, so you know, I talked with someone I trust, and he said, you know, if the rear end was coming apart, you'd probably hear it. And I laughed and I said, I doubt it, because I can't hear anything over the exhaust. This rear end could come apart and I'd never know it. But there's no funny, nothing funny when I'm driving it, like as I'm accelerating. There's no clunking, there's no like jerking, so I think it's probably fine. I just quickly checked the top drain plug, and you know, I'm trying to look inside to see if I can see anything, and you know, I can't see anything really, so I can't say one way or another. I will eventually drop the rear diff cover and change the oil, and then just take a look at that time, but until then I'm just going to drive it and remain blissfully ignorant of any potential damages, because I don't think there is any problem. Like I'm spinning the diff right now, I'm not hearing anything. It's smooth as butter. There's absolutely no clunkiness to it, so I don't think I have to worry about it. But what I do have to worry about is this fuel line that's been chewed up. Now, in theory, it didn't get through the steel braid. It only got through the outer nylon shell, but I don't like it. I want that piece replaced. So I'm just going through, I'm undoing all of the clamps that hold the fuel line to the car. So I'm going to pull the fuel line out, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow it out with some air, and then I'm going to put water through it, and then blow it out with air again. And the reason why I'm doing that is I need to cut that section out. So I'm going to use my cutoff wheel, which has a metal cutting disc, but there's steel reinforcements, so that's going to cause sparks. And since this is a fuel line, if there's any fuel vapor left in there, and I'm, you know, cutting it with the cutting blade, that potentially, you know, causes a little bit of a flame and a fire, and I just don't want to deal with that. So purge the lines before working on it, and then I'll splice in a piece. I don't have any like -8 unions to go from fitting to fitting. I'd have to order some, and that would take time to come in. So I end up using a old -10 to 2-8 Ys. I just cap off the -10 end, and then I put a couple of, I think, 45s off of the Y ends. It's gonna look real janky, it's gonna look silly, but I know I'm redoing this fuel system and fuel lines anyways, so just for right now, as janky as it's gonna look, it'll be fine. I'm not gonna be too unhappy with it. So I'm just going to continue taking off the fuel lines, and then I will get into repairing that piece. It's just cutting the lines out, putting hose ends on, and then reattaching the lines. You've seen me do all this stuff before, so I don't really need to talk through it. All right, so with that final tightening, turn the flow back on, turn the return flow on, throw some power at the car, turn the fuel pump on, let the fuel pump cycle a couple times, and then just go underneath and check everywhere, see if I got any leaks, because if I had any leaks, got to fix them, that would be bad. But yeah, so with the pump going, that seems to be good. So we can drop the car back down. But before we drop the car back down, I'm actually going to adjust the height of the car. So it's really low right now. The front end really scrapes on the driveway. And so I just want to give myself some extra height. So that way, hopefully, I can get out of the driveway a little bit easier and not scrape so bad. So I'm going to adjust the front up and adjust the back up. So that way it's even. And then my plan is to build a new intercooler for this so I can tuck it up a little bit tighter. And then once I do that, I'll drop the car back down, because I loved the stance that this thing had when it was, when the rear wheels were tucked and everything. Oh man, that was so nice. Alright, so one of the next problems that I have is I got a sunroof hole with no sunroof. So the seal for the sunroof is completely shot. I doubt I'm going to be able to get a new seal. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But what I do know is if I ever want to take this thing out in the rain, I need to fill this hole. So what I'm going to do is I went to the metal supermarket earlier, as you saw, so that was planned for later. I got a piece of sheet metal that I will put over the hole, and then I will go underneath. I will trace out the hole onto the sheet metal. I'll go, I think I go like 3/4 inch wider than that original mark, and then I'll draw another hole, or another outline of the sunroof 3/4 of an inch out from the inside hole, and that'll give me a lot of room to drill that piece of sheet metal and put rivets in it, and then I can drill the roof, put some sealer down, put the sheet metal on top, rivet that down, and then in theory that should be waterproof, and that will definitely get me through this year. And who knows, I may even leave that for a while as I'm working on the car and getting all the body work done. But I might also revisit it and drill it all out, build a new plate, and then mount it in from the bottom and weld it in. I think I'm probably gonna get rid of the sunroof. It's just not needed, and really I'm gonna have AC in the car, so I'm not gonna really have any benefit. So I like the idea of plugging the roof hole, but for now just a temporary hole filler is good enough for me. here we have Winston coming for a 3-second visit. Yeah, that's Winston.
Turn up. Let's go.
So what I'm doing here is I'm just putting a tarp over the seats, because if I get any metal shavings or anything like that on these seats and I damage the seats, I will be very, very upset with myself. So I want to protect those seats, because they're not necessarily one of a kind, but they're not produced anymore, and so I couldn't even buy a new one if I wanted it. So since we got the first coat of paint on it, and it's going to take a while to dry, I'm going to vacuum out the inside of the car because there is a ton of leaves and stuff in here, and I got a little bit of time to kill while that first coat dries. So the next thing I'm going to do while the paint is drying is I'm missing one of the bolts for the driver's seat. You know, when I initially pulled the seat out and got all the studs out, one of the bolts just did not want to separate from the stud no matter what I did. And I ended up destroying it because I didn't really care that much. So I did get a new bolt. So I got to pull the seat out, and then I got to put a hole in the carpet, and then I can put the bolt in from the top down. I'll eventually either replace that bolt with a proper stud or replace everything else with bolts. I don't know yet. But again, we're just doing stuff to get us, through this year safely. I want the seat bolted down, and I'd already noticed that the seat had kind of like twisted a lot by not having that one bolt. So critical to get all the bolts in for the seats.
Let's go.
So I'm going to grab the tarp and put the tarp over the seats again, because I'm getting ready to put the sealer on the roof, and that sealer is nasty stuff. When it gets on you or on fabric, like, it just sticks and does not come off. So again, I do not want to get that on like any of the right of the seat, because it would be absolutely noticeable that I fucked it up. So we'll throw this layer on, and then we'll put the roof on, and then we'll have a bit of a challenge getting all the rivets in. End up having to kind of half-ass it and drill one of the rivets out, and the paint's still not fully cured, and whatever. I was like, it doesn't matter. It's gonna be on enough that I can take it out in the rain and be happy. So enjoy as I flounder my way through this. All right, well, finishing off the sunroof is all the time that we have for this week. So, as always, if you've stuck around this long, I'd like to thank you for viewing, and we'll see you in the next one.